YouTube, this man over George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, can you believe it? We just got a couple more days left in November, and as you know, Christmas come. Oh God, yeah. To me, Christmas is for the children. I used to only person who used to buy something for Christmas was my mom. My mom's gone, so everybody else is grown. The kids got kids, and so I don't. But I will say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever, Kwanzaa, whatever. So anyway, here, folks, as you know, I tried to, I had a situation where I had a little fallback. I had a bunch of interviews, but then things happened. But I was able to get this lady right here. And, she gave me the time to come on here. She's a pleasant, lovely lady. She just made her pro debut this year. She has done three shows, and it's tough to do. It's just, I know who done 5, and she is from Virginia down there. She's right there next door to me, VG, and, and she is a nutritionist. She's an educational person, and also she is an IFBB Physique Pro. We have here the lovely Mrs. Jacqueline Hale. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for coming. And as I ask you, lovely ladies, what got you a lady like yourself in a sport of muscle and masculinity? Please share.
Honestly, I have a younger brother. I have 4 older sisters. I have a younger brother, and he decided to compete because, what former college athlete doesn't eventually look at what can I do next? And so I went to his show, and they started, and I've always loved bodybuilding. I've always admired it. I've always watched it, but I've never considered or put myself in that position. So I was at his show, and they started calling the women out by age groups. And I was like, wait a minute, and 35, 40. And I said, hold on, you mean I can get on stage next to people who are my age? Like, I can get on that stage right now. And that was it. I talked to his coach, and it was on from there. My first show was in 2018, and I got my pro card in 2021. It was my 5th show ever, and I'm excited. I always say I wish I would have started sooner, just because of what I'm learning about the sport, what I've learned about myself. As I'm a competitor, I've always been an athlete, but this is the time that I'm starting. So, I lived an entire other life prior to getting into this. And so now I have the time to actually dedicate to training, getting rest, focusing on my meals, focusing on tissue work, going to the gym twice a day, taking naps in the middle of the day. I have the luxury to do that right now as an adult. I would not have had the luxury to do that in my 20s.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's plenty of women who start in their life. I did an interview a while back with Lady Cynthia Marks. She made a pro debut at the Legion Sports Fest, and she started, in it when she was 55. She's 61 now.
Okay.
There's, you competed at the Masters World Championships with like a couple ladies who I know. One lady who I met, she's a dear friend, I'm Miss Mary Ann Wachowski. She's almost 60. Also, there's also a lady who I know on social media, Maria Flores, who's 63. Then there's the great Miss Michelle Brent, who's 66 years old.
Yes, I know.
And you got to think about that. It's a lot. I think it was a lady there also competing. I think she was 71. I think. Yes. I mean, it's a lot of. It happens, especially when you get into later life. When like your kids are grown, they know you have children, and they're grown, and it's not much to do. And you say, you know what, you want to, try something different.
Yes. Yeah, I've always been competitive. I actually, I was a runner, cheerleading, I played softball, swimming, cross country, track. I was always doing something. And so I'm not shocked that later in my life, I found another way to be competitive. But now I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? But then I look at the fees and I'm like, slow down, horsey. Let's go back to the drawing board on this for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing about bodybuilding is, as I often say, it's not a very lucrative sport, especially for you ladies. For the guys, only thing they have to wear is a pair of banana hammocks or board shorts. That's about it. You ladies, it's the cost of the posing suit right there. That's almost rent or maybe a car note. Then you got the hair, mortgage too, hair, tanning, food, travel, everything. Yeah. Also, preparation, and also everything goes into sport. You know, you mostly time you're competing more in the red than in the black.
Absolutely. And so it's one of those things, as a person who is competing, especially any woman and especially young girls who come to me when they say, hey, I want to compete. And I'm like, for what purpose? If you want to do this just as to check something off of your box, or you want to look cute for Instagram, no, this is a sport. And you need to be willing to be competitive and disciplined and motivated to approach it like a sport. If you just want to lose a few pounds, I can do that with you on the nutrition side, and we can do a cute photo shoot. But bodybuilding is not a weight loss competition. And when we factor in the expenses, one thing I like to think about it is the dedication that has to be there, and the motivation and the drive, the will it to do it has to be there, because it certainly isn't. It's not a payday for the everyday athlete like myself.
Yeah, because I know you have people like right down to Olympia. You were at the Olympia, and one of the guys who took third place, dancer, I think his name was Samson. That's his name.
Yes.
He got 100K. Now that's more than the other people that like Andrea Shaw, Bumstead. Also, well, with Sarah, she doesn't have to worry about it. She's a rich man's wife. But you know, if that was more lucrative, where you do a show, you know, you can make at least enough money. Say, okay, cover the cost of my travel, my trip, anything, and I have something in the pocket. Then I pay my taxes.
Right.
But it's just people need to think about that. You know, folks, we got one man here. You know, he's a fan, but you gotta watch his name. This is my man here, balls deep. He says, "Good evening, gorgeous." He's excited. He also this is his moniker, Chicago in here. Yeah, Chicago is already. It says salute and word up. He says smash that like button, the like button. Appreciate you, Ballsy, for saying that. Also, peace and blessings, beautiful. Yeah, he's a big fan. Also, he says just ask you, who inspired her to start bodybuilding? Well, she started out with her younger brother, she said.
It was my brother. So
yeah,
I have who is 13 years younger than me, and he decided to compete. Now, one thing about my brother is he's like, we're very, very close. It's almost like we were 10 twins separated 13 years apart. And so he's always like, Jackie, you should do this. You would do great. And he always ropes me into stuff. And so I was thinking, okay, I'll do a show. I'll get into competing, and one day we'll do a show together. That joker did one show and bowed out.
Sound like my brother. There's only 3 years between me and my brother. My younger brother.
One, and that's it. You know, we went to CrossFit. He's like, Jackie, you should do it. I went to CrossFit for 1 week. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to the CrossFit games. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going.
If you look at CrossFit, there's a lot of women who have transitioned from that sport to bodybuilding, or from bodybuilding to CrossFit. I know one lady, you competed at the show with her, Jetty Feldman. She originally started in CrossFit, and then she switched over to bodybuilding.
Okay.
You know,
she was at the Atlantic Coast Pro. And I have to say this, because it's one of those, like, I try not to fangirl backstage. It's like, Jackie, you're one of them. You're a pro too. Don't fangirl backstage. But a lot of the women I have followed and admired for years. And so to be on stage with them was like, this is real. Like, this is my life. I'm here. I'm not a spectator. I'm not in the audience watching them. I am on stage with them. And that feeling alone is worth every moment.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to my first bodybuilding shows last year. I went to Savannah, and it was wow. It was an experience. I got to meet ladies who have followed on the sport for a long time. I've been following bodybuilding since I was, you know, I'm gonna tell you my age right now. I just turned 49 about a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I've been following bodybuilding for at least 40 years. My older brother, you know, he used to play football here in our hometown. He used to get the muscle max. And guys, I grew up with the Arnold Schwarzenegger era. Then Lee Haney and Dorian Yates. But then, you know, I got to my teenage years. You ladies, you women, you did something to me. You did something that you brought this other guy out. You make me so interested. You know, I just sometimes you just make me feel like a dog chasing cars. You know, I had to worry. I worry about him. He's dangerous. But yeah, it's just something about you ladies. You know, as I was younger, I found your lady. But then doing this on content and talking to you ladies, I really respect what y'all put yourself through. It's hard work. You're doing a sport most people consider very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
You change the aspects of what people consider feminine, but you do it because you have a passion for it. You got to have a passion for a sport to do it.
Yes, absolutely. And I see a lot of, people will post things like, oh, some women will post something to say, some guy said, don't get too big or don't get too muscular. And I'm like, who are these people saying this stuff to you? Because I have never had anybody say that to me ever in the history of never. Had any man or woman come up to, well, I shouldn't say woman, any man come up to me and say, don't get any bigger. Like a one-off of, oh, like you look great right now, but not to the extremes where I see it. I don't know if that is, they're like, you know what, I'm not gonna mess with her. I'm not gonna mess with her.
I know. I think I know who you're talking about, so we're gonna keep her out of the.
Oh no, I'm not talking about anybody in particular.
Oh, okay.
I'm just in general. I see it. It's a question that I get often, that other women who are interested, and they're like, do men say things to you about your body or looking masculine or looking like a man? And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh, I had this misconception that all women bodybuilders experience that. And I said, you have some, you might have to some degrees, but in an overwhelming way to the point where it sticks out to me or something, no.
I'm just noticing that sometimes they'll get more interest by women who are just curious,
mm-hmm.
And then you have, like, say, yeah, you have the guys who might, but then at the same time, those same guys will be talking stuff like that. They'd be like in your DM saying, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackie, I didn't mean to say that. I think you're very, yeah." It's just because society will, like, I remember one time, this was when I was, we were on a high school field trip, and I was maybe 15, 16. I went to this bookstore. I was looking around and I saw there was a magazine called Women's Physique World back in the day, and it had Linda Murray on the cover. And I was just a big fan. I still have a collection I hid storage where my mom put in my comics and stuff. And people made comments like the ladies behind the thing were saying, why she get all those muscles like that? Yeah. I'm a fan, and probably was I should have said, hey, shut up, pay for myself and let me get out. But it's just that you ladies have to have a passion for a sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to understand that you may not be the standard was considered feminine, but you are women. That's true. We got here from Man Balls Deep. He says, he says like, it says he's giving you a clap. He says he's clapping to you. He says, all hail to Jackie. Also, he says, what does she want from bodybuilding? Or he says, or expect. Now, a lot of people, bodybuilding, most people don't think it's just a sport. You just lift weights, you pick up this, you did that, do that. There's a lot more to it. And as yourself, as he asks, what do you want out of the sport for yourself?
For myself, it becomes me achieving a new goal, a new way to push myself. I have to have something slightly competitive, something to work towards on the calendar. Now, I love going to the gym. I go to the gym all year round, not just when I'm prepping for a show. So my list feels fantastic right now because my calories up, but it's a way to see how can I push myself next. Part of my story after the birth of my second son, I ate my way through that pregnancy because I'm like, I don't even know when we had time to make a baby. I was in grad school doing all this other stuff, but I ate my way through that pregnancy because I had terrible eating habits. I had great genetics, but by the time I had him, my genetics were like, we're done with you. You're on your own. You can keep eating like this if you want to, but this weight is going to stick with you. And I was about 100 pounds overweight for about 10 years. And so the idea of a lifestyle of maintaining my health, maintaining my body, going to the gym for very, very healthy ways, that's on the back burner. Bodybuilding is one of those things. It's like, how can I push myself more? You couldn't have told me when I did my first show that I would have been did my first show in April. That August, I went to Kentucky Open States. I dabbled in women's bodybuilding for a little bit, it was just kind of crossover, see which one you like. I was Miss Kentucky 2018. And then I did nationals, and my coach and there was no expectation for any of these bigger shows. It's like, well, I got feedback from the head judge, Sandy, and she said, you can't play in the local shows anymore. if you want competition to really see what you're made of or where you stand, you have to go to the national shows. And I said, all right, Mike, let's do it. And the goal was, let's just see where I stack up. I had no clue that I was going to end up placing. I was so delirious. My coach was like, okay, go back and rest. You got to do your routine. And I'm like, huh? He's like, you placed 3 times. And I'm like, shut up. And so now it's like, I did that. And then I did another show and I earned my pro card. Actually got 2. And then I said, you know what? I don't want to be one of those people who gets a pro card and then that's it. It's something else on my resume for my business. I don't work with a lot of people who do bodybuilding. I work with lifestyle, healthy eating entrepreneurs, women over 40, men over 40, things of that nature, who are just like, I need to be healthy so that I can take care of myself when I'm 65. Because these folks out here who can't read, they're going to be the people filling the prescriptions in about another 15 years. Y'all better watch out. There's pharmacy techs. So if you work with children, pour into them, please. There are so many important jobs that we will have to depend on these young people for. We need them to be on it. But yeah, I am. It's, you couldn't have told me I would have earned a pro card. And then to do my women's physique debut, I did the masters, and I'm like, you know, let me gently enter into it. My coach and I never believe in just picking a show and doing that show. We go for the show that we're ready for. So this year was a long prep, and I started off with World Masters, which was a great show for me to do because Gary Udy runs a fantastic show. Like it's, I work with Olympia Tan as well, so I'm typically there as a spray tanner for the other shows, but it was a great show. Everything was smooth. I met some fantastic ladies and I got the jitters out. So that next time when I went to Daytona, it was like, okay, I'm gonna jump in the open. Let's see what this is about. And then the place top 10 in 2 open shows in my first year as someone who is 47 3/4. That's amazing.
Well, I know a lady who I've become very friends with, Jada Beverly. She may return. She took second to Mimi at that show, and she looked pretty impressed. Like one lady also, I think she was a top 5. Just got her Olympic qualification. That's Miss Dr. Alfonso. You know, I think she was number 4, and now she's got a Olympic qualification at the natural show.
Yes.
You know, and that's one thing to debate about is that, you know, if we all, a lot of people think about bodybuilding, it's like everybody popping this magic pill and you just get huge and big. No, it's not. It's not all of that. The pill has a purpose, but not all of the purpose. You have to be consistent. You have to follow a diet. You have to follow your working out. There's times we, you know, like, you know, I used to work out a little bit. I had to take a step back because I had some issues. And, you know, I know there's times I don't want to get up in the morning. It's like be cold, be raining, but you got to be consistent because you want to get next up. You want to start with the big dog. Like Sandy told you, you can't keep playing around in the playground with the kids. You want to start with the big dogs.
Yeah, and stomping with the big dogs means more work. Every prep has taught me something, has added a new level of difficulty. And prepping for my pro debut was like, man. But so when we did the Atlantic Coast Pro, I wanted to do that show last year. I've always wanted to do a Tim Gardner show. I've heard great things about his shows, and it did not disappoint. It was smooth. I was never confused about where to go. Everything was where I needed. You know, the check-ins were smooth. We did pictures, everything. The organization of it was so seamless. If I had a question, somebody was there to answer it. If I needed anything, things were coming up on my phone or alerts or emails. So the whole process of doing that show with him was fantastic. And I wanted to do it last year, but so when I did Daytona, it was like, okay, well, let's experiment to see, do you do better holding up physically with doing shows closer together? What is my threshold for the number of shows I can do? And then is a 7-week stretch too long at the end of the prep? And so a lot of it was experimentation. A few things. One, I'm never doing another show this close to the holiday. No. There's too much going on. There's too much going on. I make a fantastic cornbread stuffing, and not to be able to really enjoy it just because my stomach is like, you can eat it if you want to. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, I make every Christmas and Thanksgiving I make a great macaroni and cheese. I take and I use noodles. I take the shredded cheese, I mix it up, and then I put it into the oven. And I usually like to get the cream cheese because you can mix with it better with some butter and
Yeah.
and like a little pepper, and that's pretty good. But yeah, I know that's the hard part about that.
Yeah.
That food can be both
No,
your enemy. Yeah, food can be both your best friend and your worst enemy. After each of your shows, after your last show, what was that thing that was like? It's like you're like Chris Rock in New Jack City. Pookie said, "It's calling my name, man. It's calling me, man. It's calling my name."
oddly enough, after a show, my go-to meal is typically some sort of large amount of beef. Brisket is my love language. But if there's no brisket, I will settle for the largest ribeye that they have and potatoes. But there's always some random crunchy thing that I crave with every prep. That makes no sense at all. And this prep, it was Frito scoops.
I like those. You eat the scoops, you eat the cheese,
Not the regular Fritos, not those little
No, no,
scoops.
no. Talk about the scoops. We get the
Yeah,
the big
they
scoops. Yeah,
weight to them and a little bit more grease.
yeah. Because and then you get the. I like to get the milk the mild cheese. I don't like to anything too hot. I could get the melted cheese, and it tastes so good. Like just like cheese. I don't need to eat too much cheese. I try to get back away from it, but it just be sometimes just sitting around the house, like nothing to do. Say, hey man, what
Yeah.
is free scoops? See. So we get here. This is from my man. This is from a man Balls TV says. She says this. She makes 47 look good as F. Oh yeah. And he also he asking you, what's your next competition? And
So I don't know. We're waiting for the schedule to come out. The feedback that I got from the head judge was a little bit more size on top. I've noticed that there's more of a rounder, bubblier look. And so for me, this prep, I was dieting for so long and leaning out and coming in very, very shredded. I noticed that I lost some size up top because ordinarily my shoulders and the top of my body pop way more than they did this season. But that was on me because I didn't stay within the range of where I needed to stay in terms of keeping my body fat down so that I'm not dieting for longer than I need to and doing a lot. I shouldn't say tons of cardio, but doing a lot of cardio and burning off some muscle. I mean, with fat loss comes some muscle loss, and that's the name of the game. So I want to wait and see when the schedule comes out. I would love to do Linda Murray's Atlanta Pro. I have to do one of her shows. I have to.
she only has one now because she used to have Savannah, but she just got Atlanta.
Yes. So when you shared the story, she followed me back and I looked through the pictures and it was a picture with her. My significant other did the Atlanta Pro in 2022 last year. And I was like, I have to take a picture with her. I have to meet her. And she followed me back and I was like, yay.
I'm glad I got you because she follows me too. When I went to Savannah, she was up in front, doing prejudging. She turned around and she smiled at me. I was like, I even got a picture with Alina Popa while I was there because no lady who's a friend of mine at that time, she was being trained by Alina, and I got to meet Annie Rivicchio. And Annie, I remember her, amazing physique, beautiful. She was in about the I would say about the bronze age of women's bodybuilding. Great physique, amazing. I got to meet a couple of ladies I got to interview a while back too. It was just a great sensation just to be there for that first time at a show. I just so excited. This is for a man, Balls Deep. He says this. He says, Linda Murray is the GOAT. I would say that. Yes, she is the GOAT. And,
and I will say this, there's levels to this. I think, and I would love to have a conversation with some of the promoters just about the client, the competitor experience. I'm a systems person. I've run schools with millions and millions of dollar budgets. So I'm always looking at what are the systems, what is the experience of the customer? For me, it was what is the experience of parents, what is the experience of the students? Because the teachers, we work here, we're supposed to be here. Linda Murray shows, when I tell you the gift bags, the check-in, did you see when they did the one show, they had baseball jerseys with their names on the back?
Oh, that was the Rising Phoenix.
The Rising Phoenix. When I tell you fanfare, some of these other places, the wow factor was, if I'm a Masters competitor and I got to pay, I'm breaking the fourth wall right now. And I got to pay to do a show. I got a pro card, but I got to pay an entry fee. There better be some more. I need fanfare. I need fanfare. I need to feel like they're here. Child, they feel like they get it's like a second thought. But
It's like being on an airplane and you ask the stewardess, "Can I have those honey roasted peanuts?" and they don't want to give it to you. Kind of feel, yeah. I was who was it? I was talking with that with Rising Phoenix. That's that's run by a guy, Jake Wood. And I'm every time I hear Jake, I gotta stop that. I gotta get this phone. Telemarketers. When I think about Jake, I always do this. Say, yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. And he got it. Hey, Jake. If Jake, hey, Jake, you hear me, Jake? All I want is what you got in your pockets. That could probably pay my rent and everything for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's what I think. We were talking to people how they said that there should be more a little bit, especially for the competitors. I know one lady who she did a show in Vancouver. They had, nobody knows that's my roommate. We have everything laid out and ready and set. They have people come around and getting them ready and picking them up. I mean, it's a lot to this, And the one thing also, they had specialists to come check on their blood work. Those little things that help. This was the Vancouver Island show. It was like this year.
Okay.
And she told me how they were like, having good sisters and everything else. And that's good. Because you know what? That's what is anything like this. You ladies, you competitors are the product. And anything, the product should be taken care of and watched over and make sure that they are in a good shape, good position.
Yeah. And I'm looking at like, now I'm interested in like, oh, I want to do a show in another country. Oh, I want to, it's all interesting. It's all interesting. And I'll go where there's some fanfare. I understand the expense, unless you're the top person, you're not, excuse me, this is not my career. I've never looked at it from that perspective. Interestingly enough, I retired. I was a middle school and high school principal for years. And when I retired, the rumor was, oh, she quit being a principal to be a pro bodybuilder. I said, y'all don't. No, I didn't. I retired early to take care of my dad and my family. My dad had to have a kidney transplant, and I was on kidney care. And I was fortunate enough to say, you know what? I love this job. I was in grad school. I was in a doctoral program for my superintendent's letter of eligibility. I was being vetted for positions. I was out of the country training folks in restorative justice and all this other stuff. I was away from the students. And I'm like, I've never desired to retire as a principal because I always want to stretch. I always want to stretch out and do more. But I looked up one day and it was like, you know what? I don't want to be the designated apologizer. And that's what it felt like I was moving towards, because my area specialty was crisis intervention, culture building, and things like that, which is, it's tough. And people are like, but you're so calm. Child, it's a trauma response. I am calm, but yeah, this is not a career. This is something I want to do. So when I go to a show, I want to feel like, like they're rolling out the red carpet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like one thing, it's a teacher. You have some benefits, but as bodybuilders, no benefits. Like one thing is, like if something happens. Was it like a couple years ago? We had like a bunch of deaths. It was like people just dropping like flies. And I've talked and discussed this. That is anything NPC and IFBB should take care of their product. The NBA, NFL, all these major sports have unions and other stuff which they make sure their athletes are taken care of. I got a friend. His name is Big Keith Williams. His wife is Tina Williams. They right now in Detroit working with one of my favorite women all the time, Andrea Shaw. Sorry, but and he used to play football in the pros. Even after he left the pros, he still gets a little pension from them because they usually put in. If anything, when you say, you know what, I'm done with the with bodybuilding, you're paying like $300 a month for a year for this little card. It's not laminated. And what you get out of it. And then you said earlier, you got this. I found this out about a while back because we friend with a lady who competes in Masters. She said we have to pay. What do you mean? Wait a minute. I don't say when you're amateur you got to pay, but when you're Masters, because it's not as popular. But in the last few years, Masters has grown. I even think that.
Let me tell you, from a business perspective, the money that is being left, we're the age group of people that actually financially can afford to do this. If you have a show that is catered to awarding Masters levels competitors with pro cards, you have a pipeline of people who are ready to be in your shows. The first year of the World Masters Championships that Gary Uda did it, I spray tanned that show. When I tell you, it was like they announced the show and announced Classic. It was like the 50 and up men for Classic was like We Ride at Dawn. Their line of competitors, it looked like a bikini line. I was like, what? Where are they? There was like from the men's Classic. I mean, if the group of like 50 plus, 45 plus, there was like 20 something, 20 plus competitors. There were so many of them that came out to compete who either won their pro card as a master or have been competing for years, stepped back from it and was like, well, you know what? And then said, oh, there's now a masters show that I can do, a masters world championship. Let me step back in the game. And then with the enticement of the Masters Olympia, I mean, you have a natural pipeline. And from a business perspective, I think that can be so much more exciting for us. It really can be. And I don't understand what's going on. But I'm just here.
Sorry, I just had a little situation here.
I'm messing, George. You know that.
Shh. My older sister here, she just came by, you know. Shh. Thank you, please. You know, let's go over to her social media for a bit while, you know, hey, yo, quiet.
Didn't want you.
Oh, God. Let me just go here. We'll jump to social media for a minute and we're going to look at some stuff.
We got packages. Let's unbox all of this high protein waffle mix. I can't wait to make these. One of the reasons why I was so adamant about getting this is because Prozis has a lot of stuff that doesn't have like extra added sugars and preservatives. It's low fat, high fiber. This is going to be quick and easy to make, and it has 40 grams of protein. Ooh. Peanut butter pancakes. Love language. So this I can't wait to make because I have been craving pancakes and spinach wraps. So today I'm eating one of these today. Actually, in a few hours, I'll make a chicken wrap with these. Back from the Atlantic Coast Pro, and we got packages. Let's unbox all of this.
That's funny because I'm sorry for the folks for the inconvenience. My sister came over here to get my brother for some shit, and then that's why I think I need to live in a bubble, But but yeah, that's you were advertising. What was the package you were selling? It was like you got some free stuff that was from your sponsors, or
yeah. So Prozis is a new company. They now are based in US, but they have supplements, they have snacks, they have food, they have all types of stuff that you can try. And they reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to do a collaboration with you. So I'm like, sure. I have a few collaborations that I do with people. I'm also learning that, for a lot of these collaborations, you have to be very careful which ones you want. But anything in terms of when I'm looking at a collaboration, if it's something that is going to be beneficial for me and beneficial for my audience, I'll look at it, do some research, stand behind it. I'm not one of those people that's just kind of like, oh, let's do this weight loss product and push this out and here's a code, because they're not paying folks for this stuff. They're just trying to send you free product and want you to be now their social media marketing people. And they'll reach out like, hey, we'll give you an affiliate code and sales and blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not your salesperson.
Yeah.
I will make a video for you. This is my fee.
Yeah. Well, he's an AKA, that's pretty cool. I know quite a lady who are part of a frat or like that. And and this is from a little video from the
ladies and gentlemen, let them hear it. Who's your favorite?
This is the pose down.
This is old school right here.
This is why I reached out to you. This is what point I love what you did. We're gonna show proof to beautiful big pig because the music's all right. It's not copyrighted.
Some amazing open women's physique.
Yeah. Had to stop right there. We'll see you'll give you so minutes, but that was really cool. And I even commented on it. I should be right here somewhere where I commented on it, but I don't see it right there. But yeah, I mean, you got it for the tag who just did. I mean
about that moment because I was on stage and I was so excited. Like I'm up here and they said pose. So I love a good pose down. I love to watch it. It is my favorite part of watching like open bodybuilding is the pose down and the certain music that they play. So I was like, pose down, and I'm stuck in the back, and I'm like, I'm Sylvia's baby. We don't stand in the back. Like, I love y'all. I admire you, but let me, excuse me.
Yeah, I know. One thing, like compared to, truthfully, I like women's body pose a little more because you really go at it. Y'all physique girls, y'all a little like how a little soft, how much to say. But but it's fun when y'all ladies get out there because I know one lady, she said she did New York Pro, and so they didn't do the pose down for them, the final pose. I said, what? You couldn't do this? What kind of? I mean, that's the fun part. That's fun when y'all ladies up there on stages. I remember back in the day, like back in the day when they used to get in the way, like people like I used to see that people like Iris Kyle and maybe Linda Murray battled out, or someone like or someone like Kim Zavetsky and Denise Yashowski. I mean, they just shoving day like and then one thing is we love is the it's smallest we love is the most muscular pose, or as they call it, the crab pose. We go, yeah. I remember when I was watching with it, Sherry Priami, and I think it was that chick from Brazil, Arsenio. They did it. Would do their pose down. When the women, the Olympia physique did their pose down, it was like.
And you know what? We typically don't. Well, it has been my experience. I can't personal, local, in the media. I can't say we don't because I just got to the game. I have never been on stage and participated in a pose down in my division. When I did in 2018, I did North Americans, did women's physique and bodybuilding. There was a pose down, of course, with bodybuilding, but it caught me so off guard. I was like, I gotta get in front. I gotta get in my front. This is my moment. Because it's like, okay, I'm getting off the stage and we're gonna have, the confirmation rounds and the top people. But I was like, I'm getting my moment. I'm getting my moment.
Well, we have these comments from a man, Balls Deep. He says this. He says, she gained a new fan. Shout out to Balls Deep. He says, he also says, how was her day? And he also says this. He says, I would love to be in her school. We know why you want to be. And also, he said this. He says, she's sexy, swole, and smart. That's good. It's good that guys out here we follow if you want to follow the lovely Mrs. Hale, her social media stuff is in the description right here in the video. Check it out. Follow her. We support her. But guys, and this is no offense to you, Jackie, I said to every guy out there, no D pics. She has kids. She got a man. They don't want to see that.
I don't open that stuff. It doesn't even. I have so many filters. It don't even come to me.
Yeah, it's like I said. That's why I said it'd be funny. It'd be like sometimes we have conversation with some ladies say guys are saying strange stuff, especially guys. Some guys say like nice little like hey, how you doing, hello, whatever like that. But then some guys get a little bit creepy. They get a little bit
cram handles.
Stranger. Yeah.
They're about business. So unless you are contacting me for a consultation, baby, you'll be talking to the sky in that DM.
Yeah.
It really is for business only.
Yeah. Well, one thing is that you do have you work as a nutritionist, and and you also are an entrepreneur. Can you share us how you got into that and what's the process of it?
So when I gained all that weight with the second pregnancy, I tried every diet on earth. As a former athlete, I thought you go to the gym, you get a trainer, that's how you do it. And I'm like, it wasn't working. It was just, and I'm a trainer snob. I'm like, if you are the trainer, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. So we can't look the same. and you're trying to tell me what to do if I'm trying to be in a weight loss perspective, because I have questions that need answers. I need to know the why behind stuff. And so I had gone through a lot of trainers who were very knowledgeable with, exercise science and things of that nature, but telling me, a woman who, had a child, a booming career, trying to lose weight, like, what do I do when I come home and I just want to flip the table and I got to go in the bathroom and hide with a glass of wine and a bag of Skittles because everybody's on my nerves. And so I had to find out what worked for my body and learn about nutrition and get really, really smart about it. And that's where it started, with me figuring things out on my own and then eventually helping some friends. And then in 2018, I thought, well, I have all this time on my hands. Why not just launch it into a business to help men and women learn how to eat and move for the bodies and lifestyles they want? I'm a teacher by trade. So I'm not saying here's this cookie cutter diet, here's this bodybuilding diet, do this. It is about, let's look at your life. Let's look at your goals. And how do we get you to a place where you're eating a full complement of foods and getting the desired outcomes without starving, without feeling deprived, and all of that stuff. And so the way to work with me with that is there are some options for people who are just like, hey, I have a 6-week challenge right now that doesn't require consultation. But the other services, I do a food journal analysis call. I have a 4-pack call where it's a nutrition overhaul, where we have a series of calls. It starts off with the food journal analysis. And then those other 3-hour calls, you tailor them however you want. And then there's a 16-week. That one is a little bit more particular, and that definitely requires a consultation because I have to see if we're a good fit for coaching. Not everybody's coachable. There are people who will come to me and say, I want to do this, but they are unwilling to make the changes and put the systems in place in their lives to be able to get the desired outcome. It's like, okay, you're saying you want to do this, you need to do this, but you're doing something else. And so let's manage this gap in between. And then I also have Total Elite Athletics. Andrea Shaw actually brought one of these off of me, my Will It Crop hoodie. So we have items for men and women. We're a local company out of Virginia Beach. My significant other, it started with him. He got sick of buying, Nike stuff and things falling apart or not fitting them. And he's also a pro bodybuilder. He's moved.
Oh. Folks, we had a little technical difficulties. I don't know if it's on my end. I hope it's not. Hope she comes back, because wait a minute, so what happened here? I hate when everything's going good, folks, and then hello, you still there?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Somebody would try to call me now. His phone don't ring all day. But we have close men and women, and he just got tired of trying to find things where he just looked like he was wearing a potato sack. He wanted something that, was sleek lines, comfortable, very soft, and more of a performance base. We're 40 plus. I don't want shorts with a thong up my butt. I have no desire to wear that. Some people like it. Hey, do your thing. It's just not for me.
Speaking as a big man, it's hard to find clothes for my size. I used to be a lot heavier, because you talk about you taking care of your father. I was taking care of my mother for about 5 or 6 years. She was sick before she passed away. And, I put on a lot of weight. I was already, right after my mom's funeral, I went to the doctor. He said, Mr. McCarthy, you are nearly 500 pounds. And I was having issues with my knees and stuff like that. And I said, you know what? It's time to lose some weight. And and right now I'm around about like a 398. It's a tough process, especially when you try to not, especially like I'm from the South, and and people, they cook good stuff. I mean, my sister, she's about as good as my mom. My older sister, who just left here a while ago. You drag out my brother, and it's just, food is just, instead, again, it can be both a weapon and a tool for a bodybuilder. And especially, I think one thing, especially for you ladies, clothing is harder for y'all, because you're going to have certain types. Like we talk about how the fullness thing look now, because the idea of physique is supposed to get away from women's bodybuilding. It's supposed to be a little closer to, like, maybe the throwback of, maybe I would say, Corey Everson, Linda Murray. But and find the right clothes, because you got to find that fits, because you got a smaller waist, we got broader shoulders, you got bigger quads. It's just the measurements just keep switching up. You be like bigger here, smaller there. And I know, especially for the guys, it's a lot tougher for them too, because you look at guys like someone like a Big Romney or Nick Walker, or the new guy Derek, who won the title. A those guys. It's clothing. You know, I think an old lady. I think her name's Kim Buck. She was working on a clothing line because I think she made some suits for the when they did the Rising Phoenix about a few years ago. I think I think she did an interview with somebody. She's planning on with Dan Wells. She did an interview. She's planning on doing more clothing for bodybuilders. I think with the fit with their body type, especially for the women.
Yes. And it's difficult. Especially just, going to the gym. I want something that is going to move with me. I want it to be functional, classic, modern, not all this other stuff, like I said, with the thong thing. And I remember doing a poll because I'm like, okay, what do women in my demographic, what are they looking for to purchase? And athletic wear is difficult because there's so much. I mean, you can go on Amazon and buy, leggings and shorts for $15. And so trying to find that audience who's like, I don't want the cheapy stuff on Amazon. I want something that is quality, but I also want it to be comfortable. I want it to perform with me. I want it to be soft. We're very particular about our fabric blends. That's one thing I will say about us. We did put together a new Physique performance shorts. My spouse started off in Physique, and they're surf shorts. They're not, you need something for performance. And now that they've changed some of the regulations that are like Physique guys, hey, leg day. They want the shorts to be a little shorter to show off the quad development. And so we put together a nice fabric that clings to the body, the waistband, the drawstring works. There's pinholes and things like that where they are comfort. So they're not falling down. They're not too big. They're not too baggy because it takes away from the look. And guys will try to get the shorts smaller so that they can be tighter, but it's like pants about to rip.
It's like I know these guys like getting the big quads guys. You see these guys, these big guys wearing tiny shorts. I like to wear something a little bit more airy. I like to, excuse my language. I like to let the boys hang a little bit. So we got here people coming in. This is from KSG 4299. This is someone new. As a fellow educator, thanks for inspiring positive change with your inspirational story. Yes, we appreciate that. This is why I invite people like her. I know people ask, hey, George, we can talk to you. Just talk to you. I like to talk to people that interest me, and that's why I do my channel. My channel is about recognizing the women like her and many other women. I would love to have Andrea Shaw on here, and but I love talking to ladies like who are like I call them. You have your boots on the ground, 10 toes down. You're in the trenches, and it's tough. It's really tough to get to that next level for you. Yeah. Anyway, we got my man Hale, the Wanderer, says, George, be a loser with the weight. Yeah, I have to lose some of the weight, pick a little bit up because of the holidays, But we talk about how if you look at division now, your division, just one lady just recently, she just announced she's switching over to women's bodybuilding. That's Ashley Jones. Mm-hmm. I know I saw you took a picture with Emily Sherbert. She mentioned she might be going up in year after next. And you were at the show with Natalia, who a while back, somebody even compared Natalia to Andrea. Mm-hmm. Even though she may be not as big, but
thick. She has her muscle bellies they're unreal full. Like you just stare, like, oh my goodness, they're gorgeous. You're like, what? How? But yeah. So I've known Emily Schubert for a number of years. She was when I was in Pittsburgh and I first started competing. The gym, it's Powerhouse Pittsburgh now. I forget the name of the gym it used to be, but I would be on one step mill and she would, and they was the raggediest. Oh, these must have been the first step mills ever made. But she was on one and I was on another one, and I'm like, this young girl is such an inspiration, and I love her openness about, okay, yes, I'm cutting down, this is, my mind's playing tricks with me. I'm communicating with my coach, but she's also very open and realistic about the part that we don't like to talk about. That's afterwards. That's the body changing. You're getting a little softer. The lines are disappearing. And it's hard to mentally manage that. And so I appreciate her being, a competitor who is putting that out for up and coming competitors and other competitors at her age group who may not have somebody to say, this is what's going to happen after you compete. You are going to feel like emotional, your hormones are going to be all over the place. Your body's going to be changing because you see yourself so hard and defined and ripped for so many weeks. And then you look up and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm 15 pounds heavier. And then, but really it's like 15 pounds, really? That's how every other person is looking at you. So I appreciate that. And same thing with Ashley Jones. I've watched her for years. She's actually an AKA woman as well. She is phenomenal. And getting to see her when she got her Olympic qualification, I was like, oh my God. Like I've been following her for a few years just because of her work ethic, her knowledge, and her spirit. And, you know, she's a sorority sister. So, but seeing that is, I'm glad there are young ladies who are leading the charge, who are open about what they're doing, who can be role models for all of the stuff, not just the, you know, look at my butt in the camera, look at my gains. You know, it's shoulder day, and the first thing you see is his tail in the camera. So yeah, it's
well, with these young girls coming up, it's social media is a very popular thing. I remember when the first time I was on internet was like dial-up back in the day when you have to wait till I used to have to wait till my mom was asleep so I can get on because usually it's I don't know it's an old rule. If anybody call anything past 10 o'clock, you either be dead, hurt, or you're in jail. That's just what it is. But I used to be on dial-up. I used to be on some certain chat rooms, and especially for guys who follow me in bodybuilding. And this guy told me like this, hey kid, the first time in the chat room, say yes, man. And we're talking, and he said like, hey kid, you like a few about this? Yeah, I'm a fan of it. Say, there's the old Smo saying, say, well, you ladies rock hard, we're rock hard. And it's from what I learned in this process about this sport, instead of there's a lot of work to it. It's not as easy as any other sport. You have to have a love for it. And also talk about how we talked about earlier, the money is, as you know, Derek Lungford, he just won like nearly $500,000. Big Ramy, I think he won a quarter. The other guy won $100,000. But people like Andrea Shaw, $50,000, and then I think Sarah had to worry about it. She's a rich man's wife. And, I feel like this.
The money is in open. That's the wow factor. And so from a historical perspective, I get that, but it would be nice to have some of the earnings, some of the winnings funneled over to some of the other divisions. That would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice because this is no offense. This is we all know that the men's division is the bottom bitch. They're the one that bring in the money. Because it's funny how we were talking with my man Keith, and so we talked about how they had the men's show, the end of the other show that Friday of the Olympia, where it used to be like the first show the next day. I don't know what's going on with that. I think most Saturdays they talk about how there's so many competitors. Because you think about it, with shows like divisions like bikini, men's bikini, which is men's physique, that's what it is, men's bikini, wellness, and men's figure, which is men's classic. There are more bigger turnover for those shows. That's true for them than it is for. Well, it takes a lot longer for women's physique, women's bodybuilding, 212, and men's bodybuilding. And there was a debate how they want to put in new guidelines. They just said they're gonna put after this Olympia, they're changing the guidelines for I believe for men's physique. Then they were changing guidelines for men's classic early in the season. And then it's they're saying like, okay, women's not bikini, I think they're gonna leave it alone. And figure they say gonna leave it alone, but they don't do the same thing for instead again, physique was supposed to be separate from women's bodybuilding. It's supposed to be a new division where for the women who wasn't big enough to go up. Yes. So they often say like this, I don't want to go up to women's bodybuilding because I don't want to lose my femininity. But I look at people like Andrea Shaw. I look at somebody like one lady who I got a chance to interview, Sheena Olick, who's a very beautiful lady. People like Mila Ash, Sherry Army who I interviewed. Yeah. There's some beautiful women in the sport. Yes, there's gonna be some women who look a little rough and look a little, but there's some women still have that great feminine aesthetics to them, But if there's no set guidelines, we say, okay, we're going with this, we're sticking with this, and it's getting harder for you competitors who want to. I want to feel like I belong in my division.
Yes.
But then when you bring in, if you have someone like you look at, like Emily, and you look at Natalia, you look at also Ann Moon. The list of those women, they have those aesthetics that look more towards women's bodybuilding than physique.
One of the things I know, and I remember a lot of the women's bodybuilders and physique competitors that I follow. And I remember reading Andrea Shaw's story and her talking about how she didn't want to put a limit or a cap on her training. She just wanted to be able to allow her body to do what it does. And if you look at a number of the women who are in women's bodybuilding, who I've read stories that they'll post something. I think Mayla Ash said the same thing with Shauna Boswell. Like you see these patterns and trends of women saying, look, genetically, this is what my body wants to do. But in order to stay in women's physique, I have to put a cap on my training because my body is just going to respond. And so I can't allow it to respond because it's just going to grow. One of the things I do love about bodybuilding and I appreciate is my coach saying, look, we go where your genetics take you. I started out in figure my first show because, we didn't know what was up underneath it. It was the first time I'd ever done something like this. And about 4 weeks out, we changed my diet and I went to pose and my legs just split and feathered. And he was like, where'd that come from? And I'm like, shit, I don't know. That's the first time I'm seeing this too in this capacity. And I'm like, my dad, genetics. But in terms of the X frame, I have it. For me to move up in bodybuilding and even for me to really make a dent in women's physique, the one thing I've also learned is that if you are taller, the look is so hard to get. The sweet spot seems to be women around 5'4", 5'5",
Yeah,
because they have that thicker look.
Yeah, because I think Andrea, she's like 5'6". I know Angela Yo, she's 5'3". I think Natalia's like 5'2", I believe. It's like you have like someone like Michaela Aycock who's like 4'11". That's really short. And
that's why she looks so thick. Same thing with Emily. Like even with my coach, I have to remind him, like, we are trying to do these things for my body and get me to a certain look, but you have to remember, I'm closer to 5'8". I'm towering over everybody on stage. And so for my body to have that full bubbly look, that's where we have to go back to the drawing board to really kind of look at how do we do that for a structure that is longer. I have long arms. I have long legs. Everything is proportion and even, which that is, I think, the thing that gets me in the placing that I get because of my structure and my shape. But I understand after this first year competing that size and the roundness and the look is something that I'm going to have to work on. But the women who, if you look at some of their stories, you'll see this through line of women saying, I didn't want to put a cap on my training. And I believe, Ashley, when she moved up from figure, that was sort of the thing. And her body, I think she's a former gymnast. And it was like watching a little sister. And I don't mean to, minimize her like she's not a full grown adult. But even with her and Emily, it's like I have to remember, like, some of these people I meet, and they're like, hey, Miss Jackie. And I'm like, oh, I am old.
Yeah.
They're younger, but it's a respect thing. But I love seeing how they move throughout it in their trajectory and saying, look, I don't care what people are going to say. I'm going to allow my genetics to do what they're going to do. She looks freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. She's like, she's 5 feet tall, and she really put, this is one of my favorite pictures right here. This is from the Olympia from last year.
Yeah.
I love this picture. She's just a great look. Yeah, she looks great. And then you look even in other divisions, how if you look at you have your champion right here in your division, and you have the former fitness champion, and you wouldn't think they were from two divisions,
right?
I was thinking, if I look at Sarah, I'm thinking figure, and I'm looking at Missy, I'm thinking physique. It's just you keep blurring the guidelines between the divisions.
I'm wondering if. So I know, and I saw, Tyler Mannion started doing a series of videos, like you said, talking about the divisions and the changes. So they did some height weight restrictions with men's physique. They changed some things with classic. And a lot of the women, we're like, are they going to do something with women? How would you do that? What does that look like? I don't know. Listen, hats off to them and the people that have to sit in the room and make these decisions around what this look is going to be, because you will not please everybody. And so trying to find a way to say, this is the look of this division, this is the look of this division, because at one point, women's bodybuilding, they were big, they were striated, and now you have women's physique who if you watch the Olympia, the women's physique competitors were harder than some of the bodybuilding women. In terms of like, stride and things like that. And I don't know if it's just, trying to maintain the fuller look, and not saying they had a bad look, but I noticed that as a major difference in the shift, where women's physique is, you have your X frame, but it's like they are shredded to the bone.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was doing this interview with Tiana Flex, and says it's not body breaking, it's bodybuilding. And when you get to the level, like it's like everything. It's like I used to have a partner, we used to live stream together. He says it's the evolution of an athlete, and you're evolving, you're growing. You can't, like, one thing, women, we want you to stay a certain way. If your husband would say like this, he always wanted his wife to look like this, but you get older, you change. You're not going to always be the same person you were. But that's what you want to do with some divisions, like with bikini. Even those girls are starting to get, because that's the division where it was brought in. Unlike where bodybuilding started out, Ouija Cat started almost like figure. They had high heels, and then it spun off, and then it kind of grew. If you look at even you there, we look at someone like Jessica Reyes-Padilla, you look at Lola Montez, you look at C.D. Gillen. There's a big difference.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, and
I love watching Lola Montez pose. I remember watching her at the Arnold when she won her pro card. That girl, she is freaking stunning on stage. She just comes out and you can't help but watch her. And her posing is like, you're just like, it's her. I'm seeing, and the one thing about it, we was watching the Olympia and talking about this, Sid, again, a sore word of mine, she poses, and the command of that room, you're going to stop and watch her. Now everybody in the world posing like Sydney. And I'm like, if you are copying the original, don't you think that's going to make them look at the original a little bit more? Just saying. But everybody's doing this slow posing, and it's like, come on, time is money. We've been here all night. Y'all all can't come out and take 15 minutes.
Do like the old $6 million man.
It's beautiful and graceful, but when you, like, especially when you see the trickle down effect from the Olympia stage down to the amateur stage. And when I tell you, every figure competitor poses now just like her. It's amazing to see her impact on the sport. But me as a person who's like, what can you do to stand out?
Well, she's doing some a little more now. She's, she got a show coming out in April with Andrea Whitney Jones. That's a triple old dynasty. I posted it on my social media. That's a great show because it's going to have women's bodybuilding attached to it. It's going to be out west in Arizona, because I know some ladies who live around California and some more parts of out west city, which there's more bodybuilding shows for them that way, because women's bodybuilding, it took a big hit. And Jake Wood, I say, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. He came up, but now he kind of dropped the ball a little bit. I'd say he's doing things now. One thing that hurts is the point systems not around anymore. And then, because I think one thing that helps, especially for you older competitors, if you can do a show, if I make top 3 and get enough points, I can go to Olympia and say, we want the best of the best. But if you have people who still want to come and work and want to come in, and then if you have somebody like, I understand it's about being competitive. I understand that. But if you have someone who used to be the Miss Physique champion and who is number 2 behind the current champion, and you're doing 4 or 5 shows, it's hey, I'm an outsider. I don't care. I won't say what I'm going to say, but it's just you taking opportunities away. I understand it's about being competitive. I understand stuff, but still, I think I talked to some ladies, and they said that they accept it, but sometimes some of them say in the back and say, "Why is she here?" I mean,
if you have to qualify again, and the one thing, when the new list comes next year, women's physique and women's bodybuilding, but women's physique, I think, is like we have the least shows out of anybody.
Nope.
No, bodybuilding.
Nope.
Open. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, of the women, we have the least. So open has the least.
No, not of the women. You still have at least 15 shows.
Yes.
And while we about to only have barely 10 or 11.
They do. Yes.
Yes. That's so that's still technically they had the least. So anytime when physique competitors say we have the least shows, no, you don't. You had at least 17 competitors at your show. And then you gotta think about it. Natalia took out 2 spots, and I think somebody took out another spot. So you would have almost 20.
Yeah.
Women's bodybuilding don't have that.
there are 17, but you also have to look at the number of those shows that are stateside versus the ones that are out of the country. So then that's another dynamic. I mean, I understand the idea of her wanting to be a workhorse and she loves to compete and things like that. But if you never have to qualify again, going to a show and taking that qualification away from another competitor, it's just kind of like, it's very frustrating, especially when there aren't that many shows. I'm sure in terms of her sponsor, somebody will fly her overseas and she can do shows overseas or do things like that. Like I get the idea of wanting to be competitive, but I think we got to look at how do we manage that now? Because now you have the top 3 who don't have to qualify anymore. And the question for my coach and I, we were really looking at it. I'm very much a wait until it's time to submit the contract to say which show I'm doing, because stuff happens and I don't have time. People be like, I thought you would mind your business. You'll find out I'm doing the show when I show in the check-ins with this daggone button, because that's just who I am. And bodybuilding is not my personality, and I don't say that to slight anyone else, but I'm coming with a different lived experience. And so I know for me, I have to manage bodybuilding in my life because I can't allow it to be so overwhelming and consume who I am, because I can't live off of it. I can't pay my bills.
Yeah.
You know, Verizon be like, what? I don't care about rice cakes and jelly. Where's the payment?
That's the sad thing about it. Like, like the guy, who just you took third at Olympia, Samson, and then he takes 100,000 and he did another show. He did 2 more shows. They can make money, but you ladies, even if you are, in good condition, what's $3,000? If you're lucky, you might do a show like Pittsburgh or New York, where you might get some money because there's a sponsor those shows, Texas, like that. Yeah. But I think you ladies should get, I don't want to say you get the same level as the men, but enough where, instead, again, you're not competing in the red.
It should be enough. The earnings should be enough to offset how much it's going to cost for makeup, hair, tanning, nails, pedicure, all the waxing, all the massages, just the stuff, the beautification stuff that we have to do to get to the stage. You got 4 triangles and some earrings, and some of us don't have hair on stage. So everything you have to do for your body to come in tip-top shape, you got to be ready to roll, because these women coming out on the pro circuit, nobody's playing games. Everybody's coming to win. And for me, people are like, well, do you really want to do open? And I'm like, yeah, I need to see where I want to stand on stage with some of them. I don't want to not do an open show. I understand that in terms of skin tightness and things like that, that I'm always going to be at a disadvantage standing next to a girl who, she didn't even have children yet. She might even had her heart broken yet. And I'm somebody's grandma. I'm a man.
You're a fine ass grandma, I'll tell you that. I know Wilson White, she has a son, and I know she won Savannah last year. She looked pretty good. I follow her. There's quite a few other ladies, like there's a growing number of women like yourself who have children, multiple children, and got to the sport. We got here, this is from KL. He says, this is talking about Ash. He said she looked like a chocolate She-Hulk. Also, he said, this is from Tony97. He says, hello, Jacqueline. Congrats on your magnificent shape. And are you on bulks now? So,
yeah, I guess so. I guess you can call it that. So we're, experimenting with some reverse diet stuff. We know where we want to keep in terms of my number, my weight being close to my stage weight, so I don't have to diet down a tremendous amount. In my mind, I do anticipate competing next year, but until the schedule comes out, we don't know what's going to be where. I know that having shows that are closer together works for me. I also know that three back-to-back, if they're back-to-back enough, maybe 4, because the Daytona Pro, interestingly enough, with that, it was over 2 days. And I was like, how does this work? But it does. And so I, in terms of a bulk right now, just getting some food in, working on maintaining my shape, getting into the gym right now, it's just a health phase. I'm perimenopausal. I always tell people, like, I got an aftermarket digestive system. it's so whack. I have had digestive issues my entire life. Celiac disease runs in my family, and so my stomach gets very finicky with anything, and so I have to be very careful coming off because I'm ready to experiment and try this and try that. And my stomach is like,
You know what? I know a lady. The lady I talked about earlier. Miss Cynthia Marks. She has also issues with that. I'll do you a favor. I'll send you her link to you later on IG. You can talk to her. You can maybe shoot off each other because she's like yourself. She's 61. She's a grandmother. She has kids. She also has to cook certain ways because that's again, diet's the most important part about being a bodybuilder. You just can't eat. I mean, one lady, she said her first time she was eating gelatos before a show. So you don't eat gelatos. You can't eat a burger. You have to eat clean. You can't eat anything with a lot of sugar and a lot of salt. You have to. Sometimes you practically just eating cardboard. And that's the most important part. That's the consistency of the diet, and your water intake, your what calories. It's a lot to that. And you mentioned your coach. Who is he, and has he worked with other people, or we know of him?
Mike Camdar. He's also the owner of Olympia Tan. We've been together since the beginning. He knows me. I know him. He's a dear friend of mine. He works with a few other people. He really doesn't train a lot of people. He's moving away from it. He does the tanning, but Mike he loves to DJ. That's his passion. He's like, I just want to retire, and me and the wife go to the cabin and we just relax and everything else. So we'll see how this season goes if he's ready to ride with me again. I wouldn't be too upset if he's like, Jackie, I can't do this anymore. Like I wouldn't be upset because it's like, yeah, we had a good run, but I get the demand of it because I know over the years I have worked his nerve to the point where he knows how to respond to me. And I remember my very first national show, and it was like 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night. And I still have the screenshot of this text. I texted him, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. He was like, go to bed. And I'm like, who turned you into a black mother? Number one. Number two, okay. And he's like, why are you up? Go to bed. And really, that was the answer. Go to bed. And I went to bed and I was fine. He's like, you're not dying. Go to bed.
I remember with kids, like we hear that theme song from MASH. Dun 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 dun. Said, "Monster, that's how y'all go to bed." but yeah, it's a lot. Also, you were working with a posing coach, and who's your posing coach?
So I worked with two. I worked with for my routine, Janine muscle coach, Janine Lankowski. Absolutely.
She told me to mention her.
I love her posing.
Yeah.
And why I reached out to her is because she wins so many awards for her posing and her routines. And then her posing doesn't look like everyone else's. There's certain moves and things that I watch of people and I'm like, I know who did their routine. I know who did this routine. Like if I see one more classic man do this hand shit. Yeah, just jazz hands. No, but I worked with her around my routine and she was really, really great. And then we even did some posing stuff. And then I also worked with Emily. So for me, it's like, I don't want to have too many hands in the pot, but that educator brain of mine, when I recognize that someone can explain something to me, the mechanics of it in a way that I get it, then they're going to help me. And something about the way Emily explained the mechanics of it, because it's like, I know what I want to do, but I don't understand the mechanics behind what you're doing to get that effect. And once I hear, oh, good, I got it. So between my coach, of course, we always did posing, Janine, and then working with Emily towards the end, it was very, very helpful. Earlier on, I would try to put the routine together myself and just kind of wing it. There's no winging it in the pros. You want this to look crisp and polished. So that's definitely something I want to work on.
Yeah, it's like there's no like the hack is a lie. You can't hack everything. You have to be fully invested into it. You have to really study everything.
Early.
And one of my favorite quotes is from, I'm a big fan of this, is my whole movie trilogy. KL hates when I say it, is from the movie Batman Begins. When Ra's al Ghul, actually he was Harry the Cotton in the movie, but it was Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head. He said to Bruce Wayne, says, beware your surroundings all the time, Master Wayne. Never give up your fooling for a killing blow. And I tell people that, beware your surroundings at all time, And you have to understand what you get into. You have to understand the aspects of movement, of how to flow, even music. Some competitors, Janine told me like she hates when competitors want to use fast songs for certain, because if you don't have the flow to do fast music, don't do it. Work with something that works more with your body type. If you can,
And also learning that my song was a little bit faster, and I'm learning that while I was able to have the flow with it, I need something slower because I get excited and I'm ready to dance. And I'm like, you can't dance right now, Jackie. Like all rhyme or reason just goes out. And it's like, I have a background in theater. So I have no problems being on the stage, being in front of an audience. It's like, turn my microphone up. When I was a principal, I used to wear a headset in the cafeteria. It was like J-Lo walking around the cafeteria. The kids are like, she crazy.
Say what's going on with Miss Jackie? She's like just running in. Oh, this is a comment from a man Hale. Says he has asked you, says he always asks, is she a vegan? I don't think so, because it's hard.
Meat and potato girl.
Yeah, that's me. It's one that's hard, because there are some competitors that are vegan, but they have to find something to supplement for, because you need protein. It's important to build a muscle.
You cannot. The amount of protein that you need in order to build new muscle tissue, to be able to do that as a vegan, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but your protein sources are always going to have some elements of carbohydrates and fats in them. And a lot of like the Beyond Meat, Beyond Burgers and things like that, they're very high in fat and they're very high in sodium. And you should avoid those anyway, because you're just going to end up with like high cholesterol. But from a cutting down perspective and trying to get as lean as possible as drying out, removing those carbs and doing all of that, it would be a very difficult task to do that with somebody who does not eat any 100% proteins. And when people are like, well, I can just do protein shakes. Well, there's also, this thing that the body does where it works to burn food. And so, yes, you can drink protein, but your body runs through that quickly. It doesn't have to do any work to metabolize that protein. You eat beef or chicken or salmon or fish. Now your body has to do some work to burn that off, and you stay fuller longer. But I had somebody say, I want to be a bodybuilder, but I'm pescatarian. Can't help you. I don't have the mental capacity to do that with a person. Now, if you are just general nutrition and a pescatarian and you're just trying to, sure, absolutely. But for the stage, I'm sure there are people who do that. It's just not in my wheelhouse. And so I would rather say, hey, here's this coach. They work with this person, or hey, talk to, this other person.
Yeah. His comments like this is from Carrie. He says that they can eat tofu, beans, and pasta. Sometimes those things can have a high amount of certain chemicals in it. Tofu is just all it is.
All carbohydrates. They have trace amounts of protein, but there are carbohydrate. Pasta and beans, they're legumes, they're carbohydrate first. Just like people, I'm going to eat peanuts. It's a high protein. It's a marketing thing. Peanuts are fat first. They are fat first. They're fat first. They're fat first. Yes, you will have some protein from it, but its main makeup is fat. And that's why, from a caloric standpoint, fats are 9 calories per 1 gram. Carbs and proteins are 4. They are higher from a caloric standpoint. Just people are like, you can eat pasta. Yes, you can definitely eat pasta. That's a great carb.
But it's not good for protein. This is from he's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. He got to say this. He says, this from Balls Deep. In her school, I would have been a bad boy. I would have found a reason to go to the principal's office.
You ain't the only one. I had no problems out of the male students in my school. One thing that I really loved about being a bodybuilder is I was never closed about it to my staff or to my students. I wanted the girls and the boys to see a woman who was strong, who had muscles, who was smart, who was the head of the school, and could still rock, a pencil skirt and or dress and heels and still look amazing. So one of the things that my assistant principal and I would do, we would set up kids all the time. They would, do something, and if it wasn't too egregious and if the teacher agreed to it and they had detention, the only way they could get out of that detention was to out bench me. So we would go over to my school was also connected to a high school. We would go over to the weight room. I take my little sweater off. We warm up. All right, let's go. And every time they're like, you cheated. And I'm like, I'm wearing a sweater set. How did I cheat? And then we talked through the issue resolved, but I would use it as bargaining chips all the time. Girls and food and eating. A lot of girls start off with, disordered eating patterns. I noticed when I first got to that school in the cafeteria, it's a huge school. It was the largest standalone 6 to 8 middle school in the city. And I noticed during lunch, the girls wouldn't eat because they didn't want the boys watching them eating. So they wouldn't eat and they would be cranky and bitchy and blah, 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 what teenage girls do. So I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. When lunchtime starts, the boys go outside and have recess. The girls get their food. They sit down and eat. They get their 20 minutes and then we switch. The girls go outside and the boys come in and eat. My cafeteria was amazing. The girls ate. The boys were so tired from their 20 minutes of running around, they would just come in and sweat and eat. You could hear a pin drop in that cafeteria. There wasn't any craziness, but I needed them to get their nutrition in and not be afraid to eat and have some weird disordered eating thing because somebody was watching them. And not to say that that wouldn't happen with boys either, because I would have some young men who were a little heavier than others. My oldest child, that was my chunky baby. He's my youngest one. He was my slim child. He had the metabolism of a gnat when he was younger. He's in his 30s now. He's catching up. But my youngest, I mean, he's 6'5". He was 270 pounds. He was an offensive guard since he was 5. The child has never sat on the bench playing sports. He was huge, but he was chubby. And so you have kids who might be a little chunkier, maybe getting teased or feeling some type of way by girls or whatever because they're eating their food. And it's like doing that just separated out. People are like, well, that's a Title IX, but tell your mama, my cafeteria is quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one thing, because I was growing up, I was always a big kid because we worked. My mother and father were sharecroppers. We worked the farms, they worked the land. I mean, by the time I was 16, I was already 200 pounds. If we were in the weight room, Jackie, I would blow you out because 16, I was already doing 350. I was playing high school. I was in JV and varsity, and at one time we were in just doing weights, and I was already at 16, I was always 350. I had one guy said, George, man, you strong. He asked me this question. So, George, I want to ask you what is it? You ever had some son? I said, no. Well, son, you cock strong. So that's why you strong. And
man, you raised on buttermilk and beef.
Well, not too much beef, pork more like it. Beef is expensive around here. So we pork and chicken, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we gotta say, I can understand that that's the thing is people don't need to understand that food is important, but it can be, it can be both a tool and a weapon, and especially for children. They need to know that you should able to enjoy what you like to eat. You should able to enjoy tasting food, especially girls. I mean, people like one thing is I had quite a few jobs for a long time. I worked with women for a long time. That's why I like doing content on women on my channel. My first real job was working at a gas station. I worked 13 years in textiles, and then I had another job where I worked at night with ladies swinging on a pole. So yeah. I had guys I would say, yo, man, you work with the girls. Yo, dude, it's not all that, dude. If they're not making no money, they're not going to be in a good mood. So you got to understand that. But women are going to come in all shapes and sizes. You're going to have the skinny girls. You're going to have the smaller girls. You have the girls who have the hourglass figure, the bottle coat girls. You're going to have the girls who are going to be bigger. But, like I said, you got to respect what a woman is and how she develops and how she grows. And it's good people like yourself, what you're doing, what you did for your girls. Because I think you might inspire somebody. Hey, you might inspire the next, Andrea Shaw, or the next, Natty Cuejo, or the next, Cindy Gillen, or wherever who want to come, who love the sport because they saw you and you really gave them, this is somebody I admire and analyze. We got here. This is a comment from NKL. He likes to ask you this. Says, Jacqueline, what music you work out to? So what kind of music you like to listen
to? When I tell you the things that pop in that, it can be anything from old school rap, soca, metal. Like people are like, listen, it could be Raw Digger or Slipknot. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I know sometimes like some ladies we cool with. Like sometimes I'm on IG a lot, and sometimes I see little videos and they're making little reels. I see them say, "Hey, George, thank you for saying that because you know what, that inspired me." because I'm type like too. Like when I used to hit treadmill or I'm working out, I might listen to something like 50 Cent. I might I whip your head, boy, or I might hear the BG Stayed Alive. It's especially we're in that group where we're a very collective group because we grew up on Soul Train, Solid Gold, Hee Haw. We have more collective than these kids come up. These kids really like one used to work in strip club. They play that rah, 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 rah. Like some of it. The other bit was like, oh my God, I can't hear it. When I left and when I go home, before I go home, I go south to Waffle House, get something to eat. And I play some classic, maybe some Isley Brothers, or I might listen to something really nice just so I enjoy my meal. I know that's the music they want in the club, but sometimes you want to listen to really help you.
Cardio, it literally could be, it could be the Temptations. It could be, cardio is a little different. And it can be country. There's so many different things. But when I go in that weight room, and I tell people all the time, once those headphones are on, don't tap me on my shoulder. Because if I can't guarantee what's going to come out of my mouth if you tap me on my shoulder.
What you do?
Some little gym bro talking about how many you got left. All of them. I got all the sets.
So bro, you done, bro? Bro?
I love messing with them. Or the ones that'll come over and they're next to me, and I'm like, oh, we working out together now. Somebody tapping out, and it's not me. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Yeah. This is for Hale. He's a admirer. He said like this. He says, Susie, he said, could you lift up a car? I would get turned on. Oh.
These are for show. I lift weight.
Show.
I don't even open pickle jars in this house.
Damn. You got a man for that. That's a
I leave the trunk up, the groceries are there, I walk in the house. I don't.
Shantae, get a man.
I ain't doing that stuff. People are like, help me move. Call the movers. I'm not picking up your couch. No.
Because this sport's not about strength. There's a big difference between CrossFit, powerlifting, and bodybuilding. Even though they share some aspects where it's dieting, working out. I know some ladies who came from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and and the aspects are different. You're more of a sport, especially as people forget this. When y'all on prep, when y'all shredded, when your veins are vascular, you are at your weakest. I remember watching this like a video one time. It was like a documentary. It was a lady who was a bodybuilder I used to follow back in the day. She was sitting off the side with an air because she needed air because body. Roddy Coleman. There's pictures of Roddy Coleman sitting there. There have been people. I remember I was watching this. I interviewed a lady. Her name is I forgot her name, but she was competing at the Olympic back in 2006. She fainted right on stage. I've seen that before in other shows because right now your body's dehydrated, you're dried out, you're starving, you're
compromised, all of it.
Yeah, and you pretty much near death's door. That what happened with the lady in back in Spain years ago, Alina Havani, because she wasn't supposed to. She was, people was blaming her coach, who we all know what coach is, but she also wasn't following the guidelines she's supposed to do, and that's why what happened to her. But there should have been people there to make sure that you're taken care of. That's one thing. That as the athletes, there should be more taken care of for you. I mean, you're the product. We don't come to see, Tim Garden. We don't come to see Jim Man. You don't see Jake. We don't come see any of the promoters or anybody else there. We come to see y'all. And I think most definitely there should be more preparation stuff in the back. Make sure we have like saline and IVs ready for it. Make sure we have a doctor there. Anything that happens.
That would absolutely be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to end this. We were having fun, but I forgot to have a call with my coach.
Tell me, well, we got here. My man here. We hear my man. XA says, "Keep up the good work, brother Joy." Thank you, XA. And I enjoy when we get going. We have fun here. We really do because we get it. People get understanding what these women go through. And one thing I would like to see is like people need to step like. You sponsorship will help out, especially for your ladies. Because I know somebody say they do a little thing, but you get price codes, but you'll get like 5 cents, something like that. That's not really enough. That's not really money. I think if I could do this, I know there's guys out there say, "Hey Jackie, you're a pretty girl, I got some ideas. You wanna but no. This is a lady. You come to say, Miss Hale, I want to sponsor you. So if we have a plan, we put it together, we agree with it, and we think it work with you in your process of bodybuilder. That's what we like to see.
Yes.
People to step up and really offer opportunities for you ladies. You know, I'm saying these guys like this. These guys, anytime I get a new girl out here, say, "Yo, Joe's got a new girl. She finds a motherfucker." He gets excited here. So we got a few more before we head out. He said, "This is from a man, Balls." He says, "Have a good night, beautiful."
So much.
Also, he says, "Jacqueline, what gives you the drive to do what you stream?" Maybe we might do a part two. Maybe maybe after she does the next competition, we can do part two. We can talk a little bit more because this is a really good conversation. And this is also from Balls. He said, "This was a dope interview. Thank you, Balls. We appreciate that." Also, it's from my man X Head Gucci 23. "Thanks for the interview, beautiful queen." Yeah, that's my brother, my partner. We do MMA talk. You know, we're gonna do something this weekend. And also, you know, he says, "I want to see Jake." Yeah, you know, Jake. Yo, Jake. Yo, Jake. Yo, Jake. Jake. Yo, Jake. I want that money, that gun, Jake. You know. And also, he says, "You have a fan here." This is Ball. He says, "I'll come back." You know, he'll be back. But anyway, I'm gonna say one last question. I'm gonna say before we let you go.
Okay.
As a pro level bodybuilder, as an educator, as a pro who understands what needs to be done in sport, what would you like to see done in your just overall the sport?
So a few things. Definitely more consideration for people working around shows from the competitor experience. And that's not something that necessarily has to be just a promoter sorting it out. That's all organizational thought systems process. Like, I love doing that stuff. I literally will work with the promoter to like, here, I'll work on the customer experience side, because from a competitor standpoint, I understand it. There are certain things that are going to tick us off. If I'm trying to find parking and the garage is here, but I got a shuttle over here and they want me to pay to get back in 2 and 3 times. Yes, as the promoter, you've picked this beautiful place, but what does the ingress and egress look like? What is the ease of getting to all of these places? What is the commute like? So I would love to do that. And then looking at some pay increases for all the divisions to have things a little bit more level, but definitely for women, because we know that, you know, there's other men's divisions that don't get as much money as open. We understand that. But yeah, and you know, working on this pipeline of your masters competitors and that wow factor for competing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you know, the Masters Olympia is going to be every bi-yearly. So that's going to be coming back in 2025. So you may think you might want to apply for that if you're interested in doing that, because that's already Romania. I know Rashad Boswell, who I interviewed and I got to meet this past summer. She was down here in North Carolina. She did a little, yeah.
That was something I applied for because I'm like, my dad told me, all I can say is no. I don't have a problem asking for anything. But it was this whole Legends thing. But then it was like, I had to think about it. Like, okay, if I do get in, who's paying for me to fly to Romania?
Yeah, that's why if sponsorship was where you have sponsors like, hey, we make sure we take care of this and take care of that. We pay for your room, your board, you pay for your trip, everything, and just all you got to do is just come. That's what I think a lot of ladies can use to help them out. It's, you know, and it's someone like Natalia. She has the boldness of somebody who can sponsor this from like that. And other company like Sarah, she can fly to a year in a little jet every year to the
like, here I come.
Yeah. But you know, you hadn't heard that the Olympia is going back to Vegas next year.
Yeah.
And you know, and some people say you don't like it, but some people say they liked when it was in Orlando. I think they had to finish some of the contract negotiations they had with Orlando. But you know, I don't know. It's, you know, but it's going to be October, so it's going to be really tight for qualification. Yeah. I think the list is not probably come out to maybe the end of December or mid-December. If it does, I'm always always have my eye, because like I said again, I am the emperor of female bodybuilding. I try to be out of the eye on what's going on, and I said, no, I'm an emperor. And I always want to make sure my subjects are, you know, very pleased with my content. But folks, we do enjoy talking to this lovely lady. She's a very smart, intelligent lady. I mean, you know, and to quote the other guy, she is beautiful. I'm sorry about that guy. But you know, we wish the best of luck for my lovely Mrs. Hale. Hope to see her. You know, this is a quote I like to say from Batman Begins. Says, "You never have to." When Jim Gordon said to Batman, says, "I forgot to thank you," and he said to him, You never have to, because I enjoy doing this. This gives me, like I said, my mother passed away. I don't have no kids. I just got me. I have family, but family can be aggravating. But I do this because you ladies don't. I've been a fan of you ladies, and there's things I've done when I was younger that I don't want to do details about. But I do this because you really need support. You need the opportunities, and you need a voice. I know everybody wants to talk to this person, that person, but I think it'd be nice to talk to someone like yourself, who's just, as I said again, who have your boots on the ground, 10 toes down, and you have a story that really might inspire somebody like yourself. Like there's like from conversation, many ladies have the kind of same story, and it really this is something people need to hear, especially the higher ups. If it wasn't for you competitors, it wasn't for the people who like yourself who come to the sport with an open heart and love for it, I think it wouldn't be as long as it was. I mean, especially where lots of what's going on. There was like a lot of stuff. What's going on right now with the Mannion family and all the other stuff, and just it's just a lot of stuff. This is what and from people I'm hearing, because I have several monikers. One of my monikers, I am the Lord of the Wall. I'm Jon Snow, and have little ravens telling me stuff, and it's education, and people need to understand that.
Yep.
Well, it's a fun night. It was a nice date. I don't want to be beholden to you too much longer, ma'am. So we wish you all the best of luck.
Let me get the check-in.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta call your mother. Yeah, she's say hello to your mother. But we like to please thank you. Your time. Just your. I wish the best of luck for you. It's gonna be, like I said, it might be a little tight this year. Which is, so again, the Olympics going to be for October. So that means shows like the Atlantic Coast it's for this year's qualification, but now it's changed. But I think we do appreciate her time. She's having some issues right now, but we're about to head out here. But we do appreciate your time.
Okay.
Wish you all the best of luck. And we hope you. I want to shout out to the people who's here. My man Balls Deep, Hale the Wanderer, Tony 97. Also, all the other people that came here who watched this video, share, like, comment, subscribe. If you like to say you want to follow the lovely Mrs. Hale, her social media stuff in the description. You can click to it. But here, guys, I keep telling you, schmoes. I know when you see you see pictures like this. You see these ladies buffed out, shredded. Look at the glutes. You see all that. Guys, don't do that. No D pics. Stop it. Get some help.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am, and best of luck to you and your gathers, and then we hope to see you more again in the future.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So anyway, this man always George Page, aka the Emperor of Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I am out. Have a good evening, and we'll see you the next time around.